So comment down below, how do you feel about electric vehicles? Well, whether you like it or not, they're coming. And most of my mates wouldn't buy one at the moment because they're too worried about range, but they also realise that electric vehicles are most likely the future. But maybe a hybrid's the answer then, because you get best of both, right? You get the electric motor and you also get the petrol engine. But can something like this, what is known as a gas-guzzling SUV, really turn us to a hybrid? Well, this is the brand new Range Rover P400e that just brings that little slice of electric into our lives. So this is Range Rover's first ever plug-in hybrid, and at first glance you wouldn't know that, other than this little secret door on the front, which weirdly, compared to the rest of the car, feels really cheap and tacky. This is where you plug it in. If you're going to use a standard charger, 7 hours to charge, and you get about 24 to 26 miles range. But if you've got a fast charger, 3 hours on a fast charger. Now, it comes in two different flavors. You can have the standard wheelbase, which is this one here, or for £32,000 extra, you can get the long wheelbase, which gives you another 192 millimeters of extra legroom. Now, when it comes to trim, you've got three different levels. You can start at the bottom, which is the Vogue. You then have the Vogue SE, and then the top of the range one, the Autobiography. Now, there is one other which basically ticks every single option box, the SV Autobiography, but that only comes in a whopping 5-litre supercharged engine, which I can tell you now is definitely not a hybrid. So coming around to the back, you get a 900-litre boot in this, but it is a little bit less with the hybrid version because the batteries go under the boot. Now, I might be looking like a complete idiot. There is a way, apparently, to open the boot just with your leg, in case you're carrying stuff, but still to this day, can't make it work, so we'll just use it like a normal human. As you get into the back, you get the split load, which I think is really, really nice. And, you know, if you're a farmer, you can perch yourself on here with your guns and your dogs that get in, and it's actually a lot easier to put your shopping in this way as well. This is a little bit less intuitive. You'd think that you'd do that, but you don't. You actually split level like that, and then you fold it back, and that's how that works. And then you've also got your leather bag for carrying all of your electric cables in there as well. Still, as you can imagine, loads of room in the back of one of these, huge amounts of space. Just before we move on to the next bit, I want to show you a few little tricks that this car has. There are some buttons here where you can basically lower the seats. It takes a bit of time because what happens is the rear seat goes forward a little bit, then the front seat has to go all the way forward, and then the rear seat then slowly goes back again, but doesn't really matter, does it? You got loads of time on your hands. Also, there's another button here which is quite cool. You can lower and raise the tailgate, so if I want to be a bit shorter, I'll just push that button and down we go. If you're maybe a slightly shorter person, this is handy for getting things into the boot. So let's move from the boot, which I love the way it closes like that, into the rear seats, because I got to say, it is such a nice place to be in a Range Rover. Now, obviously, I mentioned before, this isn't the long wheelbase, but you get plenty of legroom, and it is so comfy. What I love about these is that you also have a control for the rear seats as well, so if you want to relax a little bit, you can. In terms of controls, you've got two 5-volt USB sockets down here. You've also got two cigarette lighters as well, and each passenger gets their own temperature control there, and plenty of storage in the doors, and also in the center armrest you've got a little bit there that you can put sweet wrappers in, and maybe a place to put, I don't know, a nice glass of champagne. And all you need is the key in your hand to get inside the P400e, like you do with any Range Rover. And Land Rover have now actually said that the security in these keys is a lot better, so there's going to be a lot less of these being stolen. Now, just like the back, the front is very luxurious. Everything just feels nice. The leather's lovely. You get these little armrests here. The seating position is the same as any Range Rover. It's no different there, just because this is a plug-in hybrid. The screens are coming basically straight from the Velar. As I mentioned, quite a lot of the exterior styling is now Velar orientated, so is now the interior, and that is not a bad thing. You get lots of room in here. The seat's hugely adjustable, and what's quite nice is these seats are now wider than they were before because they've moved the control from the seat from down here to up here. In terms of space, huge door bins, and this is quite cool. With the glove box, not only do you get this top one, you also get the bottom one as well, so double storage in there. Moving on to this center console, If you lift this up, you've got room for your phone here, and also two USB slots, and also a micro SD for your SIM card in there as well, and a cigarette lighter. And how cool is this? As standard on these, if you lift this, you've got this big bucket in here where you can put a bottle of water, and it's cooled. This is a fridge. How neat is that? Going on to the screens, how does this perform in terms of navigation and getting around? Not great. I'm not a big fan of the Velar entertainment system, and nor in this. It's the same system. It's a bit unintuitive. I keep losing where I am in the system. I never know what button really does what, and it's so slow as opposed to some systems I've used. Like, you click it and you just feel like it should be there instantly, and it just seems to take too long. Now on the Range Rover, same with a lot of these Land Rovers now, is that they've got this central dial where you go from park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then into sport mode. You've also got a few buttons down here, one of which you won't find on any others, and that is the EV mode. Click that, you're straight into battery only. You've also got one here for traction control, and then to raise or lower the vehicle. The lowering one's quite cool in case you need to get under a height restriction. And then you've got what kind of mode you want the car in, whether it's, you know, mountain climbing, or whether it's just tootling around Chelsea. It's all there. And the electric park brake. Going onto the steering wheel, now there's lots of controls on here. Once again, I never really know what they're going to do. The left bank usually is the left hand side and the right bank is usually the right, but I was trying to get the trip data up on the left hand side earlier, could not work out how to do it properly, so that for me just wasn't a great thing. Saying that, there's a lot of things that are standard on this car. Everything I've mentioned so far is standard, which is nice, even including the fridge. And you also get this fantastic Meridian sound system. DAB as standard, so you can listen to, you know, radio stations in full quality, and this sound system, not bad at all. If you swipe your hand here, there you go, the blind closes on the roof. That only took 3 attempts, but we got there in the end. That's quite a nice little feature that they put in these. And as I say, it's rather a nice place to be. You do feel king of the road in these, and driving it is exactly the same as that. So what's it like to drive? Well, it just feels like a Range Rover, if I'm being completely honest. It does, however, feel a little bit heavier, and that is obviously due to the batteries in the back, but it drives exactly the same. You still have that kind of extra turn you have to put in the steering wheel to get around any kind of roundabout. When you think it's just going to go, you're like, oh no, I need to turn more. It's got a 2-litre petrol engine in there, coupled with the electric motor, and that gives you 404 horsepower, which is ample actually. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds, and it'll do over 137 miles an hour, so it's no slouch. And driving around country roads like this with all these big potholes and everything, the suspension is perfect. You can obviously lower and higher the car with the buttons down here if you need to maybe get into a low car park or something like that. That works really well. And there's also, and this is something I hadn't seen before, there's a little button here on the door where when you get out, you can push it and the whole thing lowers as well to ease you of sliding out of the vehicle. In terms of power, as I said, 404 horsepower, it picks up rather well, although that weight does play a bit of a part in just kind of giving you that extra oomph. But that's where the electric motor comes in really, really handy. Now, miles per gallon. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm buying a hybrid, I'm saving the world and I'm going to get 200 miles per gallon. It doesn't quite work like that. The way that companies work out miles per gallon, for instance, this car is 101 miles per gallon, you don't really get that. If you're running it in hybrid though, and you charge it up every single night and your journey is less than, say, 25 miles, you're going to get really, really good figures. Not quite 101, I wouldn't have said, but around about 50, I'd say, is a realistic number for this car, 50 miles per gallon. And that's not something to be sniffed at in this day and age, especially a car weighing as much as this does. In terms of driving modes, you have 3 modes to choose from. You have pure EV, that's just electric power only, which you can use by pushing this button down here. If you turn that off, you get hybrid mode, which is basically the car will try and work out what it wants to use, whether it's the petrol engine or the electric motor. And also if you've plugged in a destination in your sat nav, it'll try and work out the best route depending on what battery you've got available, and vice versa. It'll try and use what battery when it thinks you want it on that particular route. And then you can hit this button here, which is save, and that will basically try and keep all of the electric power that you have in the battery for whenever you need it most. And this being a plug-in hybrid, you get some benefits as well. At the moment, you get free congestion charge in London, so you don't have to pay that until 2020, where it's going to be electric vehicle, pure electric vehicles only. Road tax for 1 year, it's £15 for the first year that you register this car, and then it's £137 after that, as opposed to the 5-litre petrol, which is £2,135 in the first year. If you're looking for something to tow your boat or tow a horse box or something, just bear in mind that the P400e, the plug-in hybrid, loses 1 tonne of towing power. So in the diesel, for instance, you can tow 3.5 tonnes. In this, it's only 2.5 tonnes. It is just a lovely place to be in here, and it's so quiet as well. You get hardly any road noise, and that's due to these thick windows that they put in the Range Rovers these days. It literally eliminates near enough all noise, and it is just lovely and comfortable. It is like you're riding on a cloud. With that in mind though, when you go round a roundabout or any kind of corner with a bit of pace, these seats are really slippy. So sometimes if you go around a left-hand corner, you end up nearly sliding out of the door.
And remember, at botb.com, there's a winner every single week where they have over 150 different cars to choose from in their dream car competition, including 8 different Range Rovers and this, the fantastic long wheelbase autobiography worth over £116,000. Check out the link below, and you never know, you could be next week's winner.
So back from driving around the park, and safe to say, drives like a Range Rover, just a little bit heavier because you've got all that weight in the boot from the batteries. But the batteries do, of course, drive the electric motors, which give you that 0 down torque power. Now, with that in mind, I'm not going to do a full 4x4 review. If you have a farm and you buy one of these, it's going to do well off-road, and mainly actually because of that electric motor. You get a lot of power from low down, which is great. But what we do need to chat about is the 47 pages worth of options. So straight to the ITH options list. Now, there's quite a lot you get as standard actually on these, and depending whether you go for the Vogue or the Vogue SE or the autobiography, you'll get more and more ticks in the boxes. Heated steering wheel comes as standard, leather wheel, mats, 3-zone climate control, keyless entry, power tailgate, which we had a little look, and also the one that you can wave your foot under that I can never seem to get to work. That's all standard. Meridian sound system, DAB, digital radio, rear, reversing camera, heated seats front and rear. Now, something that you don't get is the adaptive cruise control. Now, adaptive cruise control is the fancy word for a little radar in the front of the car. It basically monitors the car in front, and when you're getting too close, it'll reduce your speed. If the car in front pulls away, it'll match its speed. That is £1,590. If you want the 360-degree camera, which does help you park, that is £740. There are 32 different paint options that you can have, ranging from £0 to £6,000. Pick what you like. Black exterior pack, which this car has, £950. It takes some of the chrome on the outside and turns it to black. The laser LED headlights. These are really funky and a brand new thing for Land Rover on the Range Rover. That's £1,000. Privacy glass, if you want the rear bit all tinted out, that's going to cost you £450. 6 different wheel options. This one's got the 21-inch 7001 diamond cut wheels. They're £1,700. Sliding panoramic roof. That is £535. I made it work again, that's good. Cooling front seats, that's £510. If you want them to also massage you on a long journey, you're looking at £2,285. If you want to upgrade the Meridian sound system to the Meridian signature sound system, that's £4,225. It gives you 23 speakers throughout the whole car. Not really needed. If you want 10-inch screens on the rear seats to keep the kids happy, that'll be £2,600. If you did, however, want all of the rear entertainment and you wanted to upgrade the sound system at the same time as well, you can do that with the signature events pack for £6,000. So that's saving you about £1,000 there. And if you want the head-up display, which gives you the cool fighter pilot display, you can have that for £1,060. What are the pointless options that I should say you don't go for? Well, there's something that is called the Range Rover Active Key. It's basically a bracelet that will get you in and out of the car, and you can leave your car key in the car. What happens is, as soon as you leave the vehicle, it'll deactivate this key and it'll activate your little activity wristband, so when you come back, it'll open. That is £310 and it's not worth it. £240 will get you a fridge, not only in the front, but also in the rear. If you've got kids and you want them to be happy with a cold drink, might be worth it. That's 240 quid. It's £390, £390 for soft closed doors. Not worth it. Literally, how do you shut a door in a car? You do that. If you want to use the soft close option, you literally have to do that, and then it's soft closed. For £390, I've just saved you it, don't worry. And that side step that automatically comes out from underneath the car to save you getting maybe your ankles a bit dirty on the side, or maybe you're the shorter person and you just like that little step to get down, well, that's 3,300 quid. I don't think it's really worth it. If you're that short, maybe just jump up into the car and jump down. Little bit of exercise. So in terms of the ITO options, that is what you should and shouldn't get. Should you buy the P400e? Well, if you're looking for a hybrid and you've maybe are moving from a Range Rover and you want something that will still give you that Range Rover feel, well, this is something you should definitely drive. As I said, it's got that low down power, which is really, really good, especially if you are doing any kind of off-roading, or if you're just tootling around town and you do get an option to keep charging it to try and keep that mile per gallon high. It's a great car. It's fun to drive as far as a Range Rover can be, and it's very, very comfortable and very quiet inside. The tax benefits obviously huge for businesses, and of course free congestion zone in London if you live there for the next year or so. It is rather expensive though, and that is mainly due to the fact that the technology of batteries still is rather a lot of money. So with that in mind, if you can afford it, go and drive one, because you probably will want to buy one. We'll of course be back again with more reviews, more podcasts and more tomfoolery right here on the ITH channel soon. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.